Minnesota has a controversial practice of keeping kids in jail in solitary confinement for days at a time. It's a practice correction leaders and mental health advocates say needs to stop. Lauren Lemanchik looks at what happened when one state did just that in her latest investigative series, Juvenile Justice: Failing Victims, Failing Kids.
I wouldn't wish it on even my worst enemies.
18-year-old Noah has been at the Hennepin County JDC for more than a year, often in solitary confinement, what Minnesota calls DRT.
You don't feel human. It's like being in an insane asylum. It like drives you crazy.
3 times he's wrapped sheets or shirts around his neck, attempting suicide.
I was having a lot of bad thoughts and that didn't help. The DRT definitely made it 10 times worse.
His mother, Noelle, knew life in juvenile detention would be hard. After all, Noah's accused of a violent crime, stabbing a man.
I knew through the court proceedings and everything this wasn't going to be an easy road. And I don't expect it to be, and I'm not asking for it to be, but I don't think it needs to be this dark and this hopeless either.
She fears her son, who has autism and lives with mental illness, is only getting more violent behind bars.
I hate to say it, but I feel like he's going to get worse.
A body of research shows that's exactly what happens when kids are held for long periods of time in solitary. It's why close to half of the states have banned or severely restricted it.
But in Minnesota, putting youth in solitary is not only allowed, it's routine. Our investigation found in the past 5 years at the 3 largest juvenile lockups, kids were ordered confined to solitary for 5 days or longer nearly 700 times. And Hennepin County once sent a kid to solitary for 34 days.
If that's what's happening, it's wrong, and it shouldn't happen.
Minnesota's Commissioner of Corrections has vowed to end solitary for punishment. And there is a blueprint for that from Colorado.
We just were not comfortable with seeing youth linger in seclusion.
Anders Jacobson helped lead a sweeping overhaul of that state's juvenile justice system, which included banning solitary confinement as punishment. In large part, he says, because it wasn't effective.
They don't get well in sitting in a locked room.
So what happened? They redesigned juvenile facilities with a more home-like atmosphere and smaller groups, spent $9 million hiring 200 more staff to monitor and work with kids on what was causing their aggression in the first place.
99% of the youth that come to the Division of Youth Services are coming back out to be my neighbor and your neighbor, and you'll want me to do treatment with them.
And so far, those changes appear to be making the community safer. Recidivism, the number of youth that reoffended within a year, has been cut almost in half, to the lowest level in nearly a decade.
We really have an opportunity to turn them around.
They can isolate kids for safety, and they sometimes do, but it's rare. And when they do, it's only for about a half hour. And while some longtime staffers quit, fearing without the harsh punishments kids would take over and assaults would rise, Jacobson says today their jails are no less safe.
It tells me we can do it, and we're not having an increase in behaviors such as assaults.
So you're dealing with the most troubled, most difficult kids.
Back in Minnesota,
ultimately the question is, how do we handle that?
Senator Ron Latz reviewed KARE 11's findings and now says he'll propose limits on solitary for youth while leaving space for safety.
Everyone's familiar with the timeout. You're not supposed to put kids in their own timeouts at home for 5 days. It would probably qualify as child abuse under Minnesota law if you did that.
But that's exactly what the state has done to Noah and hundreds of other teenagers.
The way we're treated just makes people, just brings them to violence and stress and depression and just makes everybody hopeless.
Bills have been introduced in both the House and the Senate that would end the use of solitary for youth in Minnesota. Neither have received a hearing yet. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm Lauren Lemanchik.